There are 2 adults in my household, and for the entire year, I show every single grocery haul that we did that we were able to keep our grocery budget at $4.44 per day. And we didn't live off of ramen or struggle meals. We had a well-balanced diet the whole entire year. And we also fed lots of friends and family and still have things left over in our pantry, so we have food security for later. In this video, we are going to go through all 12 months of 2025 and show you exactly what I purchased and how much I spent to be able to stick in that grocery budget that we have set for our family, which works out to be $4.44 per day per person. If you're new here, my name is 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐶, and this is the 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐶 Legacy, where I teach you how to save money on groceries. I have filmed all of my grocery hauls this year and also all of our meals that we have been making with those groceries to really show you how to stretch out your grocery budget. Not only with filming all of these videos to show you, but I also track all of the times that I went to the grocery store and the meals that I'm making here in my grocery planner, so I can really go back and look at exactly what I was making and what ingredients we had in the house and what was even on my shopping list, so I can keep track of patterns. And because I know that this video will probably attract some new viewers to the channel, and before we get naysayers, I want to walk through a couple things. For most of my entire life and most of this current year, we lived in the Seattle metro area. In September, we moved to Eastern Washington, but Washington has one of the highest food cost and cost of living in the entire country. There might be a couple states that are a little bit higher if you are in Hawaii or New Jersey, I've heard, but for the most part, we are one of the highest cost of living areas. And now moving to Eastern Washington, doing something as simple as a Costco haul is an hour and a half in the car for me. So it does take a lot of planning to make sure that I'm able to stick to the grocery budget that we have set for our family. But it really shows throughout the year how I've been able to manage that, even being in both sides of the state. Another thing about our family is we are an allergy family and we are mostly organic, and I like the brands that I like. So sometimes I will pick a brand because I like the brand or because of the ingredients in it, because we are an allergy family. But for the most part, we are 80% organic. I always say with the 20%, I just give myself a little bit of grace. Studies have shown that the average family in the United States are actually throwing away over 40 to 60% of the food that they're buying. And I actually had a TED Talk on this, talking about how our family has zero waste, and I'm able to go to the grocery store once every 3 to 4 weeks and have produce that stays fresh the entire time. I've been in the media all around the world, and I'm the best-selling author of the Zero Waste Produce Guide, which walks you through all of the tips to keep your produce fresh for weeks. So by not throwing away 60% of the food that we're bringing into our house and using it all of the way, we're able to drastically stretch our grocery budget. We have one separate debit account that we use only for groceries, and every month my husband puts in $135 per person in the family into that grocery budget, which works out to be $270 for the family size that we are right now, which is a family size of 2. When we originally started doing the grocery budget per person per month, it was almost 2 decades ago, and we started with $100 per person. We have had our own kids at our house, other family members at our house, and also been foster parents over the years. And we have figured out between our household size of 2 to 8, this had worked every time through those different seasons of our lives to base the groceries based per person per month. It's been about 10 years now since we started realizing that we had some allergies in the family, and that is when we started buying more organic items and items that had less ingredients in them, so we could figure out what those allergies were. So around 2015, 2016 is when we bumped that grocery budget up to $135 per person, but I haven't had to bump the grocery budget up at all during the pandemic or inflation or the skyrocketing prices. I've just been able to hone in on the skills that I've been using for a really long time. One thing that we have done over the years is we have set up our own grocery debit account that only grocery money goes into that account, and we only use it for groceries. And that is really important to be able to keep that money in there and keep a rollover throughout the months so you can see how the money accumulates and how I'm able to spend on larger purchases. And then in my grocery planner, I also keep track of how many times I went to the grocery store, what my grocery budget is, if I have a carryover from the month before, and all of that notes here in my planner so I can flip back through the months of the year and know exactly what I spent and when. Something else that we keep track of, which is not grocery money, but we keep track of it in this planner, is how many times that we go out to eat. So that normally comes out of a different budget when we go out to eat. But for the first 5.5 months of 2025, we didn't have any takeout or coffee stops. And living in the Seattle area, that is quite a feat. The money that we would normally spend on takeout or going out to eat comes out of a different budget, but we were saving for a big goal that we achieved this summer, and that was such a special thing. It made us work really hard to not go out to eat for those first few months of 2025. But it also shows that we were able to stick in our grocery budget, and all of the meals that we were eating were happening here at the house. Over the course of this year, we also moved to the other side of the state, and now we are closer to our friends and family. And so we are having many more meals with friends and family here at our house, but we haven't had to stretch our grocery budget at all. So it really shows as you're stocking ingredients and planning ahead, you're able to stretch those meals out and feed a larger crowd. So starting at the beginning of January 2025, our grocery budget is $270 that's in that grocery account. And I made 2 grocery shopping trips. One was to Costco and the other one was to Fred Meyer's. These both happened on the same day. So in January, I was really concentrating on this pantry challenge and trying to use up some of those items in my pantry that might have got pushed to the back of the cabinet, or things that we didn't really love that we might have had on the shelf. One thing in particular that comes to mind is some baked beans that just weren't our favorite, and I was trying to reincorporate those into some meals. So really focusing on those things that we already had in our house that we wanted to use up and not go to waste. This grocery shopping haul, I was really focusing on fresh produce and dairy items. So our first stop of this was to Costco, and then I went to Fred Meyer's. At Costco, I spent $129.58. Fred Meyer's, I spent $47.07. So my total that I spent for the month was $176.65. So that means left in my grocery budget for January was $93.35. That money rolls over into the next month, but my husband still puts in the $270 into the grocery account every single month. So February, we actually used some of that rollover money, and I was stocking up on some long-term things. When you go and watch the entire video of it, I walk through how I'm stocking up items that we're going to use for many months. But we did a Costco grocery shopping haul of $291.12. and a Fred Meyer's grocery shopping trip of $70.37. So over the course of the month, I spent $361.49. And that means that carryover budget between January and February, all I have left is $1.86. Okay, you're gonna probably say she's crazy and she didn't stick with her grocery budget, because that's kind of how it sounds here in February and March. But if you follow through the entire year, you're gonna see how this works out. But in March, I went grocery shopping and I spent $254.06 at Costco. And then I did a Fred Meyer's trip for $26.94. So my grocery budget was $281. And with that little bit of rollover that I had, I was actually over budget $9.14, which rarely happens. But in that grocery shopping haul, I was also buying our ham for Easter. That was the next month. And we were also doing a bunch of road trips as we were driving across the state to go check out new houses to purchase. So I was making sure that I was also buying a bunch of snacks that I don't normally buy. So we didn't get any takeout or get snacks at a gas station. So I was really planning ahead, and we still went a little bit over budget, but I'll show you what I did the next month to work that out. So April's going to start with that negative balance of $9.14. I do have a little bit of cushion in that bank account, so nothing bounced or anything, so we don't have to worry about that. But we started that with the negative. We added the $270, so my grocery budget for the month is $260.86. I spent $189.03 at Costco, and then at Fred Meyer's I spent $45.39. So my total for the month was $234.42. So now I'm back to having a carryover again, and I have a carryover of $26.44, even though I started with a little bit of a negative. In May, my grocery shopping haul at Costco was $144.93. And then I went to the produce stand, which was just opening up, and I spent $87.81, and for a total for the month for $232.84. So that means my May budget that I have left over is $37.26, and now I have a carry rollover amount of $63.60. So in June, we start off the month with that carryover of $63.60, and then we add in the grocery money for the month. And I only did one grocery shopping trip, which was $211.86 for the month, which means I have a leftover budget in June for $58.14, and now my carryover amount is $121.74. July is actually the month that we listed our house, and then we went through 7 weeks of having showings at our house at all times of the day. So it was kind of a busy summertime, and trying to make sure that we ate as many meals at home as we could and not smell up the kitchen while doing so. So our July grocery haul was Costco for $189.52. The produce stand, I spent $74.55 for a total of $264.07, but I did have a rebate from Costco that I used. So the money that I had left over in my grocery budget was $80.48. And so now that carryover budget that I have in my grocery account is $202.22. In August, I went to Costco and I spent $117.30. And then at the farm stand, I spent $89.12. I didn't need to go to Fred Meyer's or any grocery stores at all, but I did buy a long-term purchase, and that was of honey, which was $56, which will last us for over a year for the honey. So our grocery budget in total is $262.42, which gives us a little bit of a carryover of $7.58. For the year, right now, our carryover budget is $209.80. In September is when we finally moved into our house, and we finally got appliances in, and we could then do a big grocery shopping stocking up. So all of that carryover that I have been collecting for the last few months, this is when I was planning on using it. At Costco, I ended up spending $250.50. And then at the farm stand I ended up spending $114.20. And then instead of going to Fred Meyer's here in this area, I went to 𝐂𝐿, and that was $63. So my big pantry restock of being in our new house, the grocery total was $427.70. So that leaves our carryover budget still being $52.10. In October, my Costco and 𝐂𝐿 totals, I had wrote them down together, and it ended up being $132.89. And then we went to the farm stand, which I was getting cases of tomatoes to make different sauces, and also a 50-pound bag of potatoes, and also a bunch of onions and other produce items. So I spent more at the farm stand, and that was $133 there. So my total for my grocery budget was $265.89. So that leaves me a carryover for October of $4.11. And when I add that to the year carryover, that is $56.21. In November, we are planning for the holidays. We've also had friends and family in town visiting, but we have stuck to our grocery budget of the $270. So our Costco trip was $227.51. Our 𝐂𝐿 shopping trip was $30.48. I did swing into Grocery Outlet, and that was $4.79 for a grand total of $262.78. So there's $7.22 left, and that carryover amount is now $63.43. We're actually filming this video on December 2nd, and I haven't went grocery shopping yet for the month. But by the time this gets edited, we'll be able to put the pictures of the grocery haul here in the video so you can see them. But I will not go over $270. I do know that I will be ordering some oranges and sharing that shipping cost with some family members so we can have fresh oranges straight from the farm that we get every single year. And then I want to make sure that we keep track of the exact carryover amount that we have. So we will also put that carryover amount here on the screen so you can see what we'll be starting 2026 with. Now, I know that was a lot of numbers, but sometimes numbers speak to the right people. We post all of the grocery hauls here on the channel, and I don't go to the grocery store unless it is being accounted for. And we have this really great meals series that we have here on the channel that we have filmed 24 meals videos over the course of 2025 to show you exactly what I'm making every 2 weeks, so you can see those ingredients that I was using in our house and how we are making meals, making freezer meals, and feeding extra people. I really focus on having ingredients here at our house and seasonal produce so I can make a variety of different meals, and they always seem new and interesting. In 2026, I look forward to continue showing you all of our grocery hauls and how we're staying accountable by all of the things that we are buying and keeping track of those numbers to show you that it's really possible to stick with a grocery budget. And we are going to continue that meals series into 2026. So every 2 weeks we are showing you the meals that we're making, and we're also starting a new series that will be coming out in 2026 talking about making meals from basic pantry items to give you some ideas to make some shelf-stable meals. This is my Zero Waste Produce Guide, which goes through 75 fruits and vegetables and how I'm able to go to the grocery store once a month and have groceries fresh the entire time. And these are my meal planners. There are 5 different covers that you can choose from. These are also listed in the description. These are in a bundle deal with a discount code, and all the information is in the description for you. But most of all, just hit subscribe and make sure that you're following this channel. I really want to help you save money on groceries in 2026. And I do spend time every single day in the morning and in the evening trying to answer all of your questions. So please, if you have questions, leave comments and I will be happy to answer them for you.